I was able to get to that place where, okay, I understand the basics. I understand I don't need to work out more in order to achieve my goal. I also don't need to starve myself or eat perfectly or Whole30 or do a detox or whatever.
Are you somebody who's interested in GLP-1s, Ozempic, tirzepatide, semaglutide? Well, if you are, welcome to the Mindset Mirror Connection podcast. In today's episode, we are talking to fitness and nutrition coach Crystal Clardy on her experience with GLP-1s, how to do it right, what her thoughts are about GLP-1s in general, and talk about our experience with it as well. So if you're ready, listen up and lean in as we elevate your mind. Woo! Welcome, everyone. We are so excited to have this conversation with you. One of my very dear friends and someone I trust around this topic. Crystal Clardy is here. Woo! You gotta do the yay! All right. Well, Crystal, for those of you, I feel like everyone who follows us follows you, but for those of them out there who don't know who you are, give us a little intro on your expertise, your coaching business, and so on.
Oh, well, thank you. I don't feel like everybody that follows you follows me, but I feel like everybody that follows me follows you. So
they will now.
What's up, y'all? I'm Crystal Clardy, and I'm here in Denver, Colorado, originally from small town Montana, and been out here for like 12 years, something like that. And during that time, I've been in the fitness and nutrition space. So I am a self-proclaimed former fat kid, alcoholic, elementary school teacher, Orange Theory Fitness Group instructor, women's boot camp owner. I've done all the things. You guys primarily came from like a group training background, but ever since 2020 hit and the world got effing crazy, that's when I started with my own online nutrition coach. And from there, it's where I really felt like, okay, this is the missing piece. It's helping people with the nutrition side of things, the mindset, the lifestyle, those 1 hour workouts a few days a week are not cutting it. And I saw that with plenty of examples coming in and out of those doors every single day. So I've had my own online coaching company since November of 2020. And it's gone through definitely its ups and downs for sure. But one thing that persists is that I'm here to do things with people the right way. And that might not be the short way. It might not be the sexy way, but I know how to deliver results and I know how to do it in a way that's going to fit into a lifestyle that you don't feel absolutely miserable living every day.
Yes. So. And if you're watching on YouTube, you're seeing these beautiful arms that you have developed.
Oh. I know. I was looking at this too. I was like, damn, her arm.
I can. Oh, yeah. Because I can see. Share a little bit about your journey. I mean, I know you've already talked about it a bit, but share a little bit about your own personal journey with nutrition, fitness, food, and then what kind of led you to choosing to incorporate a GLP-1 on top of the other things we'll talk about today.
Yeah, for sure. So again, former fat kid, like grew up being the fat, funny, sarcastic, really smart friend, right? Gifted and talented, all those things.
Mm-hmm.
And then my friends, I'm like, I don't know why you're friends with me. Like, we don't really have anything in common because I'm kind of a nerd, honestly. And you guys are like athletes and jocks and whatever, but I knew how to party. So that's what helped me, I guess.
Listen, it's a gift.
Definitely a gift. I was definitely way more hardcore at age 16 than I am at 39, but that's a story for another day. So, I grew up eating cereal, eating, Hostess, Twinkies, whatever, Zingers, fast food. My family did not cook. Like if we cooked, my mom cooked chicken breast with a slice of American cheese and rice-a-roni. Like that was a good dinner at home.
Yeah. It's funny because Mark and I were watching this Instagram of a woman who like repeats meals from 1993. And it's like rice-a-roni, a hamburger helper, hot dogs with like beans. Yeah, it's funny. Anyways,
and cheese.
Yeah.
But that's what it was, right? Like, and that was the extent of like having a good meal in my house. Otherwise, we're having Taco Bell, we're having pizza, we're having Olive Garden. Like we went out to eat for pretty much every meal. And I had absolutely no education on nutrition. My parents were blue collar workers, like living paycheck to paycheck. That's how we grew up. And they didn't know those things. So what were they going to teach me about nutrition and fitness and whatnot? And they couldn't afford to like put me in sports and be athletic. So it was, hey, you're 14 years old. You better be getting a license and getting a car and getting a job. And so I did. I've worked really hard. I've had a job since I was 14 years old. And I just had a lot of work ethic, but didn't have the knowledge to do anything when it came to nutrition and fitness. So once I got into college, I started realizing like, oh, I should exercise. So I would go and be like a cardio queen with my best friend at the time. And I would literally do hours of cardio, elliptical, spin class, arc trainer, whatever. I could like drip some sweat. And so I became like pretty thin in college at one point. And that definitely yo-yoed a lot because I also was like a binge drinker, alcoholic, still eating like shit, working in the bars and all of that stuff. So fast forward, I meet my now husband. Well, we met when I was like 19, but we started dating when I was 23. And I'm like, okay, I gotta like get my shit together for this guy. He is obviously like way too good for me. I don't know what he sees in me, but I can't just be this like fat alcoholic bartender. So I got into working out with one of my best friends at the time, doing this women's boot camp. Again, like that spiraled into, I actually want to do this. Like they kind of were offering me an internship to be a coach with them. And so I got into personal training, did my certification the year that I was teaching sixth grade, as well as planning my wedding. And then life and changed. And immediately after we got married, we ended up uprooting and moving to Colorado from Montana. And I'm like, cool, I don't have to be a teacher. Like, I absolutely hate it. I hate parents. I love kids, but I hate parents. I don't love like having to teach all these things that just are ridiculous. This isn't like what my dream was with my career. So I got to start over and become a personal trainer at 24 Hour Fitness. And back then, it was very much, I'm doing the fad diets, I'm doing isogenics, I'm doing Advocare, I'm doing these cleanses and detoxes and hours of cardio every day on top of strength training and classes and stuff. So all that to say, I've done everything the wrong way. I've done everything that many other people have done with the fad diets and the falling into like, oh, it's not an effective workout unless you're sweating or unless you're burning 1,000 calories in a session. Like I've done all of that. And again, when I started working with my own coach, in 2020, literally March 2020, the week the world shut down, the week I lost both my job at Delta and at Orange Theory, at least temporarily with everything going on. I'm like, how am I going to pay this woman hundreds of dollars every month for coaching when I don't have a job or anything? But it ended up being like the perfect time to do it because life wasn't crazy, right? There weren't events to have to schedule around. There wasn't like a ton of travel and vacations and stuff. You just kind of got to be in your place, in your space. And I feel like a lot of people use that time to level up and like take their health to a new place. And a lot of people use it as an excuse to like binge drink 7 nights a week and shit like that. And that just wasn't me. So anyways, done this since, again, 2020, recognized that it wasn't just about the calories in, calories out. I really had to change my mindset and relationship with food for sure. But that didn't mean that it wasn't this constant battle that I've had for the past 4+ years, right? Just because I had had a coach to hold me accountable, to keep me more knowledgeable with understanding my body and understanding that doing more wasn't helping, right? Trying to just like cardio my way to a lower weight wasn't helping. I was able to get to that place where, okay, I understand the basics. I understand I don't need to work out more in order to achieve my goal. I also don't need to starve myself or eat perfectly or Whole30 or do a detox or whatever. But I also recognize that I still have kind of a fucked up relationship with food. And that really is kind of where the GLP-1s came in this past year when I started incorporating them for a temporary period of time.
I have a question. So, thinking of this time and between, we'll say the 2020 and then this time of the GLP-1s, had you done a fat loss phase before without them? Or was this like the first time that you built up to a fat loss phase and then went into one?
Great question. So the coach that I was with, I originally signed up with her like, I'm going to do 12 weeks and lose 20 pounds. And we're going to be Gucci. And it didn't work that way, obviously. She had me in a reverse diet to maintenance for 9 months.
Okay.
You know, I'd signed up for 3 months. So 9 months of like hanging out, 2,400 calories a day, strength training 3 days a week, absolutely zero OTF or running or anything. It was just like list cardio and lifting weights and tracking my food, which I had tracked my food. I've been in my FitnessPal tracker for 12 years.
Yeah.
So like it was nothing new to me, but doing it the right way was definitely new. And doing it with somebody actually monitoring what I'm doing and giving me feedback and stuff was new. So I went through 2 fat loss phases with that coach over the span of the 2.5 years that we were together. And so my most recent fat loss phase, intentional, like long-term one before doing the GLP-1 in 2024 was in 2022.
Okay.
So I had gone a couple years without like purposely trying to do a dedicated deficit. Yeah.
And so what made this time different?
So this time, like when I went into it, actually I remember Christina and I like texting about, we were both like wanting, I know she had started a deficit early 2024 and she was struggling with her, just of like we all do, like the scale's not budging. What the hell is going on? I'm doing everything
I
perfectly.
probably
It's like,
text
yeah,
both of
dude.
you. Same time.
Yes, for sure.
I don't know.
'Cause
I can't even go there. I'm pregnant.
I was in Aspen at an event for my husband's company. I was like, yeah, like I don't know what's going on with me, the scale, just blah blah blah. But then like doing a reality check with myself, I was having a lot of travel. I was having a lot of events. I was having a lot of just like not being purposeful with food. It's like I was dialed in or I wasn't, and there wasn't anyone to hold me accountable with whether or not I wasn't. So anyways, I had wanted to go into a fat loss phase in February, right after my birthday and right after visiting Christina actually for a few days.
Yeah.
And so I remember taking my progress pictures, weighing in measurements, everything on February 16th, the day after my 38th birthday. And I was also working with somebody in a mentorship capacity where we felt like there were some other underlying things going on, based off of some labs, based off of a GI map. And so she was giving me a little bit of support with some things I needed. I ended up doing like a parasite cleanse. I was following like an AIP protocol for my eating, and that did seem to help. I'm like, oh, this makes sense. Like, I really do think I did have a parasite, because one of the like symptoms, if you will, was that like I could eat like 200 grams of protein a day. I could eat plenty of calories and I would still be hungry. And I would constantly still be thinking about food and my next meal. And I fucking love protein. Like, no big deal for me to eat 200 grams a day, which is kind of ridiculous for, I was like 165 pounds at the time. It's a little excessive. It's unnecessary. And so once I went through that cleanse, this parasite protocol with a qualified practitioner, I do feel like, okay, I actually know what it feels like to feel full. I felt like I had never really felt full and satisfied from my meals before, no matter what. And this is again from a girl who used to eat chicken breast with American cheese and rice-a-roni, to now I'm eating like pounds of fruits and veggies every day and pounds of protein, and pretty good at keeping the 80-20 approach when it comes to real whole foods and ultra processed foods. But I still like just couldn't get over like my fixation with food. So, Mind Pump, mentors of ours, had a decent relationship with them at the time. And one of the hosts was doing his own sort of experiment with utilizing tirzepatide, a GLP-1. And he was going into it with the, hey, I'm going to do this just like the average person would. I'm not going to use bodybuilder brain. I'm going to like not try to hit a protein goal. I'm not going to try to hit fiber, fruits, veggies, working out, nothing. I'm just going to see what it's like to go through this process. So I observed him going through that. He and I had communication on it throughout his process of doing it. And I was meanwhile working with clients that I'm like, I just don't understand this. They're using Mounjaro, tirzepatide, Ozempic, whatever, and I don't understand what is going on that I can't get through to them, and I can't understand what they're experiencing. And for me, I'm always somebody that just learns better by doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, let me see what's going on with this. Let me see if like I can try it the way that Adam did as like an experiment to understand clientele better. But I want to do it following bodybuilder brain, if you will. Like, I'm going to hit protein. I'm going to make sure I'm not under eating. I'm going to still strength train. I'm going to still do all the things that I know you need to do in order to be successful with fat loss and weight loss. I'm going to do it the healthiest way that I possibly can and see like what the results are that I come up with, because his results were very like, ugh, his health declined for sure. And I'm sure he got like smaller, but he lost a lot of lean body mass. He lost a lot of strength. He was just in a very unhealthy place because he did the extreme that the average person doing a GLP-1 would do if they didn't know any better. And let's face it, the average person doesn't know any better. If they did, they wouldn't be in a place where they need to lose a ton of extra body weight and whatnot. So I did know what to do. I just wasn't able to do it. And I really do think it comes down to just my relationship with food. I've always been that person that obsesses over the next meal and whatnot. And that's what the GLP-1 did for me. I actually felt full. Like, I had to like remind myself, oh, like it's noon, you need to eat. You haven't eaten anything today. But I still did really well at like hitting the basics of, these are the targets I have for nutrition every day, and you're going to do it no matter what, because you don't have a choice. Because remember, you're trying to do this in the healthiest way possible.
Mm-hmm. I love that. No, I didn't realize that. I mean, I get it now that he was actually one of the reasons you ended up doing it, but that makes sense. And being able to learn from his mistakes and kind of take this on as you are an experiment, right? You're experimenting with yourself. You're experimenting to understand the client going through it. And I think that's really important. Now, obviously, we've not gone through it yet, but the more that we talk about it, the more that we educate ourselves about it, we're going to be better able to help people. I've had a handful of clients on it while going through our program as well. And with that said, I know for me as a coach, I have my own kind of internal conflicts with it and kind of these stigmas around it. And I'm wondering if you had any of those and how you kind of work through those prior to jumping on, or maybe even while on it.
Yeah, it was definitely scary to like talk about it or mention to anyone I was doing it. I actually found a provider via another woman that I had met, another coach in the mind pump space. She and I became quick friends at an event similar to us, but definitely not on the same level. And she also lives in Akron, actually. But she helped me like find a provider. I was able to talk to her. And so that like helped. It's like, oh, this is another coach that's using it. She's having success with it. Also being able to talk to Adam about it, where it was like, hey, here's what's going on. Like, and I told him I was nervous. I'm like, I don't know if I should share this with people. And he's like, fuck people. Like, tell them. Yes, tell them, because it's only going to make you in a better position to support them. Like, you're communicating to them why you're doing it. And like, at the end of the day, they don't pay your bills. So like, don't let them judge you off of something that you're doing to help yourself and to help your clients. Right. Mm-hmm. And even though he told me to do it, because also he said it's great for marketing as well, because you're going to be able to put out there, hey, I'm this like GLP-1 coach. I can help you. Those are people you want to be able to help and support and whatnot. So like, you're going to create controversy, basically any press is good press type of thing. Mm-hmm. But for me, I still wasn't ready. Like, I didn't want to put it out there. I actually don't think I went public with like talking about the fact that I was doing it until July. Yeah, it was like mid to late July maybe. And I started at the middle of May because I was like kind of in that mindset of like, what if this doesn't work for me? What if I fail? What if I still struggle? Or
what if you just have like really bad side effects too? Like some people start it and they're just like, I can't do this. So I think that's smart.
Exactly. And so I actually didn't like go public with it until I did a series on my Instagram Reels. And it was like 5 days or something of like controversial things I'm doing as a fitness and nutrition coach to lose weight or to lose fat or something to that effect. And so I did all the things that I was doing that were controversial. And the last one was that I was using tirzepatide. Right. And I said, it's very scary for me to put this out there, but I want people to understand why I'm doing it. I want you to understand, like, I didn't do this in an unhealthy manner. Everything was sort of controlled, and that I wanted to be able to better to relate to my clients and stuff, because there is such a huge stigma out there, or at least there was. I think it's getting better the more knowledgeable we get on it. But it was scary for sure to be out there and then have other coaches, especially judging me. I didn't think it would honestly be that bad from the general public, but I expected other coaches to be like, oh my God, what a fucking sellout and da 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 da. I didn't get any of that to my face, and talk about me all you want behind my back. But again, you don't pay my bills. So I literally couldn't give a flying fuck.
This and just experiencing it in your own way and having the nutrition and the mindset and as well as the exercise down. When you look back, what do you think most people get wrong about going through this? Like, even as coaches, what do you think they misunderstand from their clients if the client or the coach chooses to incorporate this product in their journey?
I think that they misunderstand that like it is a quick fix. Like, it certainly could be if you did it like in an appropriate manner. Mm-hmm. And I think that they also just don't understand that not everybody has the same relationship with food. There was a creator, I can't remember if it was from his podcast or from a post or something that he had made recently, where it was like, this is how normal people feel when it comes to like food and hunger and whatever. Like, they just have normal, oh, I'm hungry. Oh, I'm satisfied. And someone like me, that didn't register. I never felt satisfied. I never stopped fixating on the next meal coming up. And so like, there's some internal brain chemistry or something going on there that no matter what I did, no matter how I tried to control my appetite or regulate cravings or whatever, like, I just felt out of control around food more often than not. There wasn't like a day that went by that I wasn't constantly again thinking about, oh, I'm so excited for my next meal, right? Oh, I can't wait for this. And I think that, sure, as a coach, we can put the average person on a high protein, high fiber, whole foods based diet, and they're going to feel fuller for longer. They're going to feel more satisfied. They're going to be like, oh my God, I've never eaten so much food and still been able to see success. Well, for me, I could eat 2,400 calories a day. I could just strength train 3 days a week. I could just get 10, 12, 14,000 steps a day, cut out cardio, have no food restriction, allow myself to eat ice cream every day, but I still could never get past the hyperfixation of food. Like, I'm just wired to think about food differently, in my opinion, from what I've experienced through all of this trial and error, if you will, over decades of like trying to diet.
Right. And what you're talking about is ultimately that food noise. It's funny because that's what I was filming on TikTok and like helping people understand like how we go from baby. So Amanda has a 4-month-old now, a baby who knows when she's hungry, knows when she's full. You don't see this kind of fixation on eating. When she wants to eat, she mouths a little bit that she wants to eat, or she cries, right? But then we all are born that way, but something happens along the way in our brain chemistry and or our thinking, our feeling patterns that cause this obsession around food and being able to understand that. And this is actually a conversation I also had with Adam about how to do that work while on this GLP-1, because the food noise is quieted, but we still need to understand like, how can I get past this kind of fixation? Do I need to manage my emotions? Do I need to understand why this is there? What is it trying to avoid for me? What is it trying to provide for me? And helping people understand like this is a perfect time while the food noise is down. So when I'm doing the hard work, I'm not turning to food, right? Because it's not as loud. And so it's funny that you say that, because that was actually literally what I was recording before we came on here. As well as I'm in this entrepreneurial group, and 2 of the gals in there had mentioned that they're both on it. And the comment was, oh, Christina must have her own feelings about this. I said, look, it's a tool in your toolbox, and both of them were very open about how they are then also changing their lifestyles to understand it. One was like, I don't want to end up with osteoporosis, obviously from, some of the lean body mass loss that we see in individuals. The other one realized that she was running these marathons and she actually gained 15 pounds from running marathons and like trying to figure out what that looks like from like a muscle. Both of them were very educated on, I need to build more muscle. So for you, what changes did you make to your, maybe not even changes, because obviously you did a lot of these things, but what do you think are the most important lifestyle changes, both from a nutrition, exercise, and a mindset standpoint for our listeners to implement?
Yeah, I mean, I'll actually, starting next month, fingers crossed, we're still like kind of playing around with timelines and whatnot. I'm going to be partnering with a local FNP because she has several patients that she, administers GLP-1s to. And she's like, I will not do it if they're not doing the things that they need to be doing, right? If
I
they're
love
not
her.
strength training. Yes. She's like, if they're not strength training, if they're not eating enough protein, if they're not eating enough of the right things, then I'm not doing it. Right. So she and I are coming up with a program to coach these people because she wanted to partner with a nutrition coach, a fitness coach, somebody that understood where these people were coming from and the things that they need in order to see the change that they want to. Right. So she makes sure that they do. I mean, it's not obviously the most accurate, but she does in-body scans with her patients to make sure that if they are losing weight, it's appropriate, trying to, of course, primarily focus on fat loss with minimal to no muscle loss. That was something that I made sure I did. Again, I was using an in-body because that's what I have access to at my gym. And so I was continued the same things. I weighed myself every day, but I would do an in-body scan every month just to make sure that I wasn't losing weight in an appropriate manner where it was coming from too much muscle mass and not enough body fat. Over the course of the 5-ish months, I think that I was doing this deficit, I lost 25 pounds and I lost, I think, 3 pounds of lean muscle mass.
Wow.
Does that suck? Yes. It sucks to have lost any lean muscle mass for sure. But because I, again, did the things I needed to do to maintain as much lean body mass as possible, that's what helped to keep me healthy and helped me to get to a reasonable body fat percentage in spite of losing some of that lean mass. So
right.
Yes. Again, just to go into like the things that are most important and why I'm partnering with this woman is because she's so like dogmatic about they will not be given these medical interventions if they cannot also come up with a lifestyle that emulates what they need to do to not only achieve the results but maintain them. So yes, people need to be hitting a protein goal every day, an appropriate one for their goals. They need to be eating a minimum amount of calories. We're not really going to have to worry so much about the maximum amount of calories, although yes, it is still possible to overeat and eat in a calorie surplus or eat at maintenance while using a GLP-1, but it's just not as likely. So you need to make sure they're getting enough calories each day, enough nutrients from high quality foods, getting rid of some of those other behaviors, which seems to have a positive effect on people, where they're getting rid of things like drinking alcohol or using food as a coping mechanism or some sort of an emotional tool for them and whatever's going on in their day to day, coming up with better stress management practices. But those are the things that matter. It's your diet, it's your mindset, it's how you cope with things. And then, of course, on the physical side of things, it's doing the appropriate type of exercise. Right. So making sure that we're practicing resistance training with progressive overload, ideally, versus going to the jumpy Peloton, Orange Theory classes. But again, so I think that having the structure in place for all of those protocols, and then, of course, I have clients right now that work with mental health therapists. I know that obviously that is a huge part of your coaching, and I'm always going to be supportive of people doing that. I think you need people in all these arenas. And if you're not working with, a mental health therapist, like many of us would benefit from, self included, are you working with somebody who is an authority figure who is, holding you accountable and helping you to see the things that you're doing while going through this process? Because if you're not looking at the behavior changes that are taking place, then all of this is for nothing. Because once you hopefully decide to go off the GLP-1 and are able to, it's going to have to still be the same thing as it is with the average person who goes through a fat loss phase with a coach, right? Mm-hmm. I have people going through the diet before the diet, the post diet, all the things you're doing leading up to the diet, we're still going to do in the diet. And then after the diet, the only thing that really changes is the portions of food and maybe a little bit more wiggle room outside of the deficit phase and whatnot. And so until we can change those behaviors to say, hey, this is what most of my meals look like. They mostly have protein and plants and whole foods and whatever. And, I have alcohol, but, not getting shit-faced every week. And I go on vacation and that doesn't look completely like a 180 from what I do when I'm eating at home, right? We're definitely behavior-based protocols, and coming up with the data to support it is super helpful because I'm a numbers nerd. I love having stats, which is why I'm huge on food tracking and workout tracking. But just expecting that the GLP-1 itself is going to get you to where you want to be, and then you're going to just be able to maintain that for life is just as ridiculous as thinking that Optavia or keto or anything else is going to get you where you want to be and help you to maintain it for life, for the rest of your life when life is lifing.
Right. Preach. I have a question, and going back to you personally. So you took so the one question is, one, are you still on it? Two, were you able to identify where the food noise came from? And three, when and if you got off of it, is there any fear that that's going to come back?
Yeah, great. So I was on it for about 5 months. I started mid-May, and I believe I did it through mid-October. Came off of it and slowly reverse dieted myself. Now I'm back up to at the lowest, I was eating 1,500 calories. I went from 165 pounds to 142 pounds, 141 pounds, somewhere in there. And reverse dieted myself. Right now I'm eating 2,200 calories a day. Yes, the scale has gone up, but I've intended for it to, because I am trying to put on lean muscle mass. And now I actually just started working with a coach on just some internal gut health stuff. So I think that yes, coming off of it was, again, very easy for me because I already had all of the lifestyle factors in place. And it was just now I had to get to the point where I had to not really work to not allow myself to undereat. So that was the challenge, right? Is now I got to this place where it was easier for me to delay that first meal of the day. It was sure, I would still do fine with getting in enough calories each day, but I just had to be more intentional with, if your goal now is to put on muscle mass, you're now going to have to eat more than you even feel comfortable with eating. But I also had to deal with that relationship because, again, I was the person that was very regimented. I could do that. Oh, I'm going to eat 6 small meals a day, bodybuilder style, although I was never a bodybuilder. But I could force myself to do that. And I think that's where a lot of the hyperfixation with food came. And constantly looking forward to the next meal is because I got myself so trained to be eating 6 or 7 small meals a day.
Meals, right.
I never got full and satisfied, right? When you're eating 200-300 calories a pop and you're bragging on the internet about, ooh, who wants this 150 calorie breakfast, right?
Right.
Once you're like trying to remove yourself from that, because now my philosophy is more like, bitch, you don't have time to eat that often. You need to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it needs to be like 500, 700 calories in each of those meals. So I had to, again, force myself to eat more. But I also had to recognize, like, was I eating just to hit the calorie target in MyFitnessPal, or was I eating because like I knew I needed that fuel for my workout the next day? Was I eating because I was actually hungry? If I wasn't hungry, then was there a way for me to get in calories without like indulging on like a treat food, like having a couple of Oreos, right? Because for me, I very much am I want you to have mostly whole foods, but I want you to incorporate the things that you love each day. And so like I have a couple of crumbled up Oreo thins in my creamy every night, and that's something I look forward to. But I wasn't going to be like, well, I'm 400 calories short today, and I've hit my protein, I've hit my fiber, I've hit my fruits and veggies. Now I'm going to go eat like 8 more Oreos. It was, can you add like some honey in or something? Because that's not going to make you feel full, but it's also not going to make you feel gross. Right. And you're not using this as an excuse of like, oh, it's okay, I can have the Oreos because I did everything else well. So I'm still continuing to like fine tune that relationship with food. Whereas in the past, I would have been like, oh, I've got 400 calories. Let's go have some fun food. I deserve it. Like, treat yourself. So I think that the GLP-1 did give me a chance to really like take a step back and realize that I was kind of just like giving into that bullshit before of, oh, that you can do if it fits your macros. And like, there's a better way to do it. And a better way of like listening to my body. So if I truly do feel like super full and I can't get to that calorie target for the day, it's like, it's okay. It's okay. Like, let's reevaluate tomorrow. But I do need to continue to work on that relationship of not allowing myself to eat just because the numbers say I can eat, like being better about listening to my own hunger and satiety signals. And I do feel like, again, the GLP-1 gave me the space to actually have that relationship with food and my body to recognize hunger, fullness, boredom, stress,
right,
emotional.
That's really interesting because a lot of people, what I find, which is, this is really funny, you guys, you're probably being like, God, Christina, like, can we just meet in the middle somewhere? We'll have clients really work on their relationship with their food and themselves and not like guilt themselves over eating certain things. But sometimes it swings to, well, I feel so good in my body, I'm just going to allow myself that thing, which is fine until it becomes a new pattern, right? So that new pattern of like, well, I had 400 calories left, so I ate this, but then, say that's the 8 extra Oreos, but then that becomes a pattern and they use the excuse, but I feel so good in myself. And I'm like, that's great. And we still need to create that balance that, can we, have a little bit more on another day that week, whatever that looks like. Like if you are just pushing through and saying, well, I have these extra calories, I'm not actually that hungry, and it's giving me an excuse to eat outside of a way that I normally would, like, is it worth it? Is it really something we need to be doing? So I just had this conversation with a client this week. She's like, well, I just feel so good in myself and I'm not guilting myself over it. And I'm like, well, are we making that an excuse to do the bad behavior? Or what?
I can understand that because that's how I feel with like breastfeeding and the calories that I'm at. Because sometimes like I hit my macros, but I haven't like hit my macros. They're close enough. And it's like I still have 400, 500 calories left over at the end of the day. And I'm like, I mean, I could have like, there's this chocolate ice cream that I like that I get from Sprouts. And it's like, well, I could have that. And I'm like, but am I just having that because like you're talking about, Crystal, I think is so good, is like, am I just having that because it's available calorie wise? Or like if I hit my calories and everything else was set and perfect, would I still want it?
Right.
Knowing that I would go over calories, because then the answer is no. And it's like, well, then you really don't want it. You're just trying to plug it in because now you have that flexibility instead of thinking like, well, Michael and I are going to go out to dinner on Friday. Like I would like to have a little bit more leeway there. So then maybe this is a good day that I just go, you know what? I've been full. It's the end of the day. I'm going to go to bed and I'll bank those for the next couple days even.
Right. I want to come back to a couple of things, a couple questions for you. I think it's really amazing. And I want our audience to recognize how losing 3% body fat on a GLP-1 is actually really, really good.
3 pounds of lean muscle.
3 pounds of lean muscle. Sorry, excuse me. Whereas, and I'm going to use percentages. Whereas research is showing upwards of 30% loss of lean body mass if we're not doing it the right way. So I just want everyone to hear that. Like, yes, there was body mass lost or lean body mass lost, but it wasn't in this extreme way. The other thing I wanted to ask you about when you're prescribing protein protocols, obviously, we've got 0.8 to 1.2, we kind of generally just see where the client starts and see if we can just slowly bring it up. But did you notice that it was harder for you to hit that like 1 gram of protein per body weight? Did you adjust that at all for yourself or for the people you work with?
Yep. So there were definitely times when it was going to be significantly lower. I'm just like not hungry, and here's the caveat that I never explained to anybody. While I was going through this, I was also training for a half marathon.
Oh yeah.
Would not recommend.
Gross.
Right. But again, professional, like I was doing it as sort of a camaraderie thing with my husband. I'll just give the context of I used to be a half marathon runner. That used to be one of my ways that I would try to lose weight, was signing up for races and running 2 hours a day on a treadmill. I used to daily run 7 miles a day at one point. So fast forward, far removed from half marathon running. Like I stopped running when I started working with that coach in 2020. And then my husband, we had done a half marathon together, his first one a couple of years ago. And he was like, let's go on a vacation. Like we were talking about going to Kauai again, where we had done the half before. Let's go on a vacation with your family this time. So we were going with my parents and my grandma. We're going to be there anyways. Let's do the half marathon again. So I'm like, fine, I'll do it. So that was the struggle for me, is that yes, I needed to make sure I was doing what I could with my nutrition to prioritize maintaining as much muscle mass as possible. But I also needed carbs. Like you need carbs for running, people. And so just being fueled off of strictly vegetables and fruit was probably not going to be the most advantageous thing for me. But again, I took into account my activity level, my energy expenditure, my needs, and I was able to do things like incorporate calorie cycling and whatnot so that I could have higher calories closer to my long runs and whatnot. But when it comes to the protein intake, the one rule that I had was every single day, no matter what, I'm getting 100 grams of protein. I don't care how not hungry I am or whatever. And I would say maybe over the course of 5 months, there might have been like 5 days that I had 100 grams of protein. Other than that, I was, I went from 165 to about 140 pounds, and I never had less than 120 grams of protein. And once I got towards the end of my half marathon training and I felt good with where my body weight was at and everything, I was definitely like, okay, we're going to the minimum 140 mark. So I know that all of this may not make sense to like everybody who's listening, but I do feel like a lot of people that listen to you guys and whatnot understand the expectation for protein, and that it is going to be more than 100 grams, and that yes, it should be something like a gram of protein per pound of lean body mass or goal body weight, whatever that looks like. And so everybody has their own different formulas. I knew for myself I was getting adequate protein, and that's why I was able to get away with only losing 3 pounds of lean body mass.
Yeah.
Question going into that, because it made me think of some of the like side effects that we hear about. So it sounds like one of the side effects you had is obviously suppressed appetite and just making sure that you're getting in the calories. Now, did you experience any other ones of like food aversions or like the metallic taste? I've heard that one. And the other
stomach pain.
Yeah. And then the other question would be in regards to clients and coaching them. What recommendations would you have for coaches when their clients are experiencing like these aversions or like the metallic taste, or like they're just not hitting their protein?
Yeah. That was something that I was so lucky. I never had any sort of negative side effects. And I think that's one of the reasons I'm able to speak so highly on it, is I had nothing but positives come from this. I didn't have the like crazy issues with my digestion. Right. I was still regular every day, you guys, like on my fiber game, on my fruits and veggie game, my water, my movement, all those things are going to be helpful if we're looking to keep digestion on point. Right. I didn't experience any of the nausea, metallic taste, nothing crazy like that. And so I do consider myself lucky. And yes, that is more challenging to work with clients if they're experiencing those things. But at least, again, now I'm able to recognize, all right, they might be having this and that issue. Yes, with a normal client, especially in a fat loss phase, I'm all about, girl, you're not having any more than 2 protein like supplements per day. So a protocol that I have with all clients is, fine, if you need to have a protein powder, a protein shake, a protein bar, a protein Pop-Tart, you can have a max of 2 of those per day. Whereas with the client who's maybe on a GLP-1, I might be a little bit more lenient with that. Like, hey, we need to get you a protein shake, 1, 2, 3, like 3 servings throughout the day, because I know you're going to feel super full. So if we can just have the protein powder mixed in with your Greek yogurt or your cottage cheese, or if we could just have the protein powder mixed in with water or some Fairlife milk or something to make sure that they're getting enough protein, then I am going to be a little bit more lenient on that, because that is the top priority for them. And then of course I have the other protocols of like, I might have to bring down their fiber goal a little bit, just because I know it's going to be a lot tougher for them to get like 25 grams per day. So I might say, hey, I want 20 grams per day. And I'm still always going to, I don't care what phase you're in, you're having 400 grams of fruits and veggies a day, because you can have 2 strawberries and it's 100 grams, like weighed out on a scale in some cases, right? I've seen strawberries literally that big where it just takes 2.
They're huge right now. I had one like as big as my palm. I was like,
yes.
Hey, girl.
Exactly. So it's like, there's ways around this. It doesn't have to be, I think a big problem for a lot of people is they're so stuck in the diet foods, right? Like having rice cakes and having high fiber wraps and like having low calorie bread. Yeah, low calorie bread for like 45 calories a slice and stuff. And it's like, no, we're going to eat real food as much as possible. Like if I go into your food logs and I see that you're missing these basics of at least 100 grams of protein, at least 400 grams of fruits and veggies, we're going to have a problem. Because again, like I need to keep you as healthy as possible, because your body is depleted of nutrients when you're in a calorie deficit, just as a normal person.
Right.
But when you're putting this in, which can significantly decrease the amount of food that you're getting, you're significantly going to risk being malnourished. Like you're not going to get enough nutrients, and it's just not worth it in the end, obviously.
I'm curious, and maybe we can all kind of decide on the answer here. I'm wondering if you had like less side effects because of the choice of foods you were making. Because I would think for the average person who's not following these protocols, they're just eating whatever they want. Yeah. And then all of that, those, I won't say chemicals, but chemicals,
compositional changes that they
the artificial shit in their food is just sitting in their bellies. So that obviously can create like taste in your mouth.
Yeah, especially if you're not digesting it too.
Yeah, because what do you think?
Oh, 100%. Because, even when like Adam would talk about his experience or family members or whatever that he knew, how they were just like, oh yeah, the ice cream just isn't appealing to me or whatever. Like good for them. I didn't have any food aversions, or I wasn't like, oh, that's going to make me sick. And I didn't go out to eat and feel like, oh, that food was gross. I just think that because I like kept my body so well primed, and because my nutrition choices really didn't change significantly going from pre-diet to on the diet, if you will, I just had, again, nothing but positive reactions. So I do think it is, when you can look at the quality of what you're doing, it's just going to make the experience a lot easier, and you're a lot less likely to stray, because if you're anything like me, you heard the horror stories and I'm like, I can't let that be me. Like, I'm not wanting that to be me. But I also realize I'm not like the average person. Like, I don't go out to eat on a regular basis. I don't drink alcohol or drink alcohol on a regular basis. I have a pretty well regimented food program, if you will, and I eat a lot of the same things every day. So again, I didn't have to change a lot going into using the GLP-1. I was just like, well, I'm just not as hungry, and therefore I'm eating less, and that's how you lose weight.
That's such a great point. We talk about this with pregnancy. We talk about this when we put people into a deficit. Like you said, the pre-diet diet. What do you call it?
The diet before the diet.
Right. And it's really like getting all of those things in place while we're eating at maintenance, because obviously that's a lot easier for us to do. The mindset work, the habit work, hitting the targets, and then deciding, okay, am I emotionally, cognitively, physically ready to do this work? Depending on, obviously a GLP-1 makes it a bit easier because, when we're doing just a standard calorie deficit, there's still that, food noise and things that we're dealing with. Obviously, the pre-diet would help us kind of reduce that. But that's so important for everyone listening. Like if you are, and I wanted to ask you this question, like what is your advice for anyone who is contemplating this? But I think everyone needs to hear there is so much, I'll say so much, but a good chunk of work that we need to do beforehand to have the experience that you've had. Now, obviously you're a professional in this, so everyone will have their own experience, but I think that's actually so important for anyone listening. What else would you add to that for anyone contemplating adding this into their toolbox during their weight loss or wellness journey?
Yeah, well, I love that you went there because that's one of the things that the FNP and I are going to be doing together is the first month, they don't even get to like have their full dosage of the GLP-1.
Mhm.
They don't get to have any sort of a like caloric goal or whatever.
Is she
It really is
microdosing or is it just the
she'll
0.25?
she'll be microdosing leading up to it, right? And she also there was something else. I think she was using growth hormone with them the 1st
Mhm.
month because we do want to give them more opportunity to like get into the strength training, get into eating enough protein, and of course changing up their food behaviors and daily movement behaviors and whatnot if necessary, so that we can give them a starting chance of like having their calories at a high enough place where they're not feeling like they're already in a diet leading up to like going on the GLP-1. Like we
Right.
want to fuel the fire. We want to rev up their metabolism. We want their body responding by putting on some muscle. And yes, a month is not like a super long time to be like doing this, but the chances are these people going into this, I'm going to assume that they're probably not eating the 1,000 or 1,200 calories a day that they think they are. We could go into that a whole other topic where people
Correct.
think that they're eating this much and they're just
We
not,
just
right?
did an episode on this. Like, you think you're in a calorie deficit.
You're not. Yeah, you're
It's one of
not.
our more popular
So-
episodes on YouTube.
We got comments on it.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, well, I need to go listen then.
Yes, please
But
review us.
That will be exactly. That will be what we do is we're doing the diet before the diet, giving them, a good month to make sure that they are ready for it. And if they're not, because I'll have access obviously to their food logs, to their training, if they're not doing the things, then sorry, you're not getting your full dose or whatever we're
Like
going to be
earned.
starting with. Yeah, exactly.
Love
Very
that.
much earning the dieting phase. And the fact that like in this relationship that she and I are creating with this partnership that we're really actually able to do that. Great. Sure. Could somebody be like, well, deuces to you guys. I'm going to go get it from somebody else.
Sure.
You certainly could. But again, you could also go shop at Walmart instead of Louis Vuitton. Like we're
Right.
Louis Vuitton. You want to ride with us and you want to do this the best way possible. You want to have the access to like luxury and doing this the right way and learning how to like maintain it and not have to replace it a year later with a different diet. Like you would replace your Walmart handbag a year from now. Like,
Right.
great. Like you get to make the choice for you and your longevity. My health is worth more of an investment than spending fucking $20 on some nonsense. And I
Right.
hope that other people will see that as well.
You know, it's funny. Somebody, I don't know who it was, posted Kelly Osbourne talking about how Ozempic is more fun than boring workouts. And I did all the workouts and I didn't lose weight. And he goes into like, you don't lose weight from workouts and blah, blah, blah. And I said, I'm wondering if there's a correlation between like Ozempic use and body shapers because so many people want to do the latter of just like pay the $20 for the bullshit program, but then they just become this like looser, thinner version of themselves. If you invest and do it the right way, I want you to be able to plug your program here for anyone because it would be, can they work with you online? If they're somewhere else, does the MP, how does that work?
Yeah. So we are again are like putting the pieces together right now, but she will be having people coming into her practice that, okay, you want to get on this? Great. We have this group coaching program going on. You can join it. And so everybody in that program will specifically be utilizing GLP-1s.
Mhm.
So sure, I can also, people come through me. They tell me, hey, I'm going on this. I want to do it in the healthiest way possible. Amazing. You can either join my GLP-1 specific cohort, which we'll be doing. The target right now that we're aiming for is like a 90-day cohort to start with. Or I have one-on-one online coaching, or I have group-based online coaching, and I have people that are using GLP-1s in that in both of those, right? In my one-on-one and in my group cohort. But that one specifically will be targeted to like everybody is like starting on the same day. Everybody is working towards earning that dieting phase, if you will, and having the group support there. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank
and
you for
just,
that.
no, absolutely. Because, we don't want to invest this money, even if it is, so people going through the easy route and they're paying I've seen things online of just $89 a month, right? And they lose all this weight and then they end up not because again, they're not doing the mindset work, but they don't like the way they look. Cause again, it's just this
Sack of skin.
saggy skin situation.
Well, and
then they have to wear all the skims. Now we're just paying a bunch for skims.
It's going to be interesting because Trump actually, they stopped compounding pharmacies from being able to get about this stuff. So a lot of those like online companies are going to go on, I don't know if they'll go under, but they're kind of in a stop point right now last week.
Oh.
But coincidentally, if you want to cash pay some of the like big pharma, you can call them. Well, I don't know if you can call like Purdue Pharma, but you contact them and you can pay them directly now.
Oh, geez.
I know.
What is this going to do for people with like that need the medication though?
I don't know.
Because doesn't that put more?
There's a lot of going to be trickles.
Anyway. Well, I am so glad that we had this conversation. I think that it's so important for people to hear this because, again, there are so many, and even in the celebrity world, I'm thinking of the Kelly Osbourne of just take it. Like, don't try to do anything else. You can, just get skinny and it's this miracle. It's not. It's a tool in your toolbox. It requires you to continue to do the work and actually gives you a little bit of a reprieve from the noise that gives you some of that mental space to figure this out, to figure out what was my relationship with food? What were the things that I was doing with the food? As you talked about, I could have this because I have these extra calories when I'm not actually hungry, helping you reconnect to your hunger and fullness cues. And ultimately, I think really teach you what a true calorie deficit, maybe an extreme in some cases, but a true calorie deficit looks like and the foods to fuel you, as well as how to maintain muscle mass during that process.
I've got one more question before we sign off, actually, that it just popped into my mind. Would you recommend, so say someone thinks they've always been in a calorie deficit and we get them to maintenance, would you recommend that they go through we'll say a virgin calorie deficit without the GLP-1 first? Or would you say for someone that has never understood this is maintenance, this is what a calorie deficit is actually introduce the GLP-1 with them at that point?
I mean, I feel like a GLP-1 is kind of a last resort type of thing, right? I don't think it's something that we just go to because, again, as we've mentioned before, people think they're eating this much. You're not, right? People don't understand the amount of calories that are coming from the things that they're putting in their body. That's one of the best things in coaching is just the first week for anybody. It's just awareness. I'm I don't want you eating towards any goals. Mm-hmm. Yes, you're tracking in MyFitnessPal because that's what syncs up with the app so I can see what you're doing. But whatever MyFitnessPal told you need to do or any other calculator, we don't. I literally want you just eating as you would each day without thinking about the numbers, because guess what? I'm going to do all the thinking about the numbers for you in the beginning. And then once they get to that place where they're like, how is this possible? How am I eating 2,000 calories a day and I feel satisfied and I'm not raiding the pantry and whatnot? It just becomes so much easier once you've got those basic things in place of enough protein, enough plants, enough fiber, consistent sleep and stress management, and having a regular schedule with all the things that you're doing in your day-to-day life. I think the number one hack for fat loss is just having a schedule and abiding by that schedule. But yeah, I don't think I would ever recommend that anybody utilizes a pharmaceutical ever if they do not have to. I've had plenty of clients that have come to me that they actually my niche is more of the yo-yo dieter and I've tried it all, but I've had clients that have come to me that they're I've never tried a diet ever before. I'm okay, I don't want to fuck you up and think that you're going to have to do diets for the rest of your life, but I do want you to track food so you can gain that awareness. Because to me, when you've never tried a diet, you also, just like most of the dieters, know nothing about nutrition. You have no idea what foods are high in protein. It's not peanut butter. It's not nuts, right?
Not eggs.
You have no idea. Yeah, you have no idea that eating an egg for breakfast and a protein bar at lunch isn't quote unquote healthy. So yeah, I just think the less intervention, the better.
Okay.
Let's take the minimal approach.
Love that. Well, please plug where everyone can find you, socials, any information you want to gear them towards. Do it.
I'm mostly active on Instagram. So Crystal, caffeine, and carbs. There's a period in between each word, but if you just put in Crystal caffeine, you'll find me. So that's where I'm most active. I also have a weekly podcast called Stop Talking About Fat Loss, and we're on Spotify and Apple and all the things. And I would just say find me over there. It's the easiest.
Okay.
Excellent. I hope you guys found this information helpful. Please follow Crystal on Instagram so you can get more information from her. If you like this podcast, please share it with anyone who would benefit from this information. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that follow or subscribe button wherever you're listening to or looking at our pretty faces. And we've actually had a lot of engagement and we really enjoy that from y'all. So keep the comments and reviews coming. We really appreciate it. And other than that, we want to leave you with this one last thing.
What you say in the mind,
you see in the mirror. Goodbye.